Right, folks, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. It's always a pleasure to see you. Hope we're all doing good. We're on to day 4 over in Monte Carlo. Going to be touching on today's matches very shortly. Before we do, like the video for me if you would. Get yourself subscribed to the channel if you're not. I'd appreciate it if you did. If you want to support the channel, there's a link in the description and the pinned comment, along with the pics and the timestamps and pretty much anything else. First things first, let me know in the comments, did we manage to get anything today? I can't help but feel like I got off with one today. I definitely got let off with one there. Holger saved me by pulling out of that match. That ended up getting void off the bet slip, and then Jack Draper absolutely beasted Marcus Garon. I didn't win as much as I initially planned to, but still, a win's a win. Can't complain with that. No damage done whatsoever. Profit's profit. See if we can get a proper one today. We've got quite a few again, haven't we? Stacked. Another stacked day. Once more. First off, for us, we've got Echeverry, Davidovich Fokina. Should be an interesting one, to say the least. Davidovich Fokina has beaten Echeverry both times they've played. Both of them were in 2023. One on the clay, one on the hard court. 6-3, 6-3. The pair of them as well. What are the odds? Fairly routine wins they've been for the Spaniard. I thought he looked alright against Ben Shelton. I'd say he looked okay. It was a bit of a shit show, wasn't it? It was a bit of a car crash, that game, just breaks a serve all over the place. Good stuff from Shelton in that first set, but just didn't have enough. Guile just turned up the heat like we've seen him do more often than not this season. He's been playing very well indeed. That makes it 15-8 on the season for Davidovich Fokina, 1-0 on the clay. Now we've seen Echeverry in the first round against Mutet. Solid win. He needed that. He needed that win. He hasn't been playing too great this season. 9-11. That's his record. 4-4 on the clay. It's nothing to write home about, really. This guy loves the clay as well. It's just not clicking for him. I would say Echeverry on his day is a lot more trustworthy on this surface, but I have not seen enough this season. I haven't seen anything to suggest that he's going to be able to take on Davidovich Fokina. I mean, with it being on the clay, it's probably his best chance, but Giles beat him quite easily both times they've played. I wouldn't put it past them to get another one and advance on to the next round. I would be leaning with Davidovich Fokina in that one. And then next off, we've got Nuno Borges, Pedro Martinez. What do you want me to say about this one? We know how good Martinez on the clay. We know how good he is. He's a lot more trustworthy. Played a lot more of his career over here. He loves it. If you're going to take him, you're probably going to take him on the clay. He managed to get it done against Sonego today. Good stuff. Great stuff. You have to admit, Nuno Borges is probably going to give you a little bit more trouble on this surface than what Sonego does. Nuno Borges is fairly decent. He's fairly decent over here. On the clay, he looks sound. Well, I say he looks sound. What was up with Holger, I'm not too sure. Guy just looks shit. It didn't matter at the end of the day to me, but it still stands. Yeah, he was just going to get beat anyway. He had no answer for Nuno Borges today. You think he beats Pedro Martinez? I think he does. Although Martinez is a lot more solid on the surface overall. These have played each other twice before, and Nuno Borges has won both of them. One of them coming last year over in Rome on the clay. There was 2 tiebreakers in that one. Look, Martinez is hard to beat. He's very hard to beat on his day. It's not going to be easy for Nuno Borges if he wants to get past this one. I think he can. I'd imagine he does, but you can't sleep on Pedro, especially when he's fit. If he's fit, man, what did we used to say about this guy last season? The more you put on him, the better he gets later on in the game. I'd expect Nuno Borges to get it done. 1.5. It's a decent enough favourite. I think Nuno Boys is a sound parlay piece. Like I said, I'm not picking it with much conviction, but I don't know, maybe an over. If the last game's anything to go off, it's going to be the finest of margins. So, and we know Nuno Boys, he does tend to drop a set here and there. So, I don't know. We'll wait and see with that one. We'll move on to this. We've got, this is probably one of the better ones of the day. If you'd ask me, you've got Yuri Lehechka, Lorenzo Musetti. I can't wait for this. Getting Musetti as a slight, very slight favourite in this 1.7. It's lower in places, 1.65, 1.7. Now, just looking at this on paper, at first glance, you'd probably go, oh yeah, I think Musetti on this one. I'm not so sure, I am not so sure. Yuri Lehechka looked decent against Sebastian Korda. He really did. Now, Musetti, he done well to come back and get it done against Boo, but he was struggling, man. He was down a set and a break. That could have been anyone else, and I'm not too sure Musetti would have come back from that. And a win's a win. Coming back onto the clay, it's exactly what we expect from the Italian. He will tend to have the majority of the crowd on his side over in these games too. I just think, okay, we mentioned about Yuri Lehechka being a little bit out of form coming into this. That's a fact. He looked like pretty much just the Yuri Lehechka we've seen all season against Sebastian Korda. I know Korda hasn't been too great this year either, but he started to come on a little bit over in Miami. And 6-3 in a tiebreaker is what it took for Yuri Lehechka to get it done there. A lot more convincing than what Musetti was against Boo. Considering everyone thought Musetti was just going to smoke him dead quick, it was quite the contrary. I'm just thinking, if we would have seen this matchup earlier on in the season on the hard court, you'd have picked Yuri Lehechka every day of the week. Every day of the week. Albeit it is on the clay, that does change things ever so slightly. I think Yuri Lehechka's decent on the clay as well, though. This is the thing. I know Musetti's if you're going to trust him, you're probably going to back him on the clay more so than anywhere else. I think Yuri Lehechka's good as well, though, He's put in some proper solid seasons over on the clay in the past. Played each other twice before, and both of them have went the way of Yuri Lehechka as well. 2023 in Miami, straight sets. And then 2022 in Rotterdam, both of them on the indoor, one indoor, one outdoor hard court. I don't know, man. I don't know. Are we so certain Lorenzo Musetti is just going to go out and win this? 8-4 so far this year. He has went 2-0 on the clay. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just going to forget about that little 4-game losing streak for Yuri Lehechka there for a moment and just go off what I know and what I've seen already. I always say, don't I, Musetti is just like a 50-50 player to me. No offence, but it does seem that way. If he wins this one against Lehechka, he'll probably lose the next one. That's the way I'm seeing it. I'm not so sure he gets past Yuri Lehechka. I doubt it'll be in straight sets. It's not going to be easy. Not going to be easy at all. I would like to think the few outside factors that come into play aren't going to affect Yuri Lehechka that much, like e.g. the crowd and whatnot. I feel like if he can keep his head in check, he stands a very, very good chance at winning this one. Is that just me? Surely not. I can't be the only one. Let me know what you think on that. At the very, very least, I wouldn't mind taking him just for a set. Just for a set. But you know what? That spread's 2.5. And I'm not usually the biggest fan of 2.5 spreads unless I'm taking a favourite. But in this case, I think this could be very, very close. I think Yuri Lehechka has got more than enough to hang in there with Lorenzo Musetti. We'll see. We'll see. Take him for the set. Take him plus the points. Fuck, just take him on the money line. Why not? I think it's a decent shout on a dog today. I really do. But we'll move on to the next one. We've got Daniel Altmaier and Richard Gasquet. Probably go with Daniel Altmaier in this one. I would. And I know it's probably Richard Gasquet's last time over in Monte Carlo, and this very well could be his last season and whatnot. And there's that whole side to the match, but let's just be real. Daniel Altmaier probably should be beating Richard Gasquet today. He done decent to get past Felix, although, he was a decent dog in that as well. He was quite a big dog against Felix, and then a day or two later, the odds are completely reversed. We're getting Daniel Altmaier around 1.5, 1.4, give or take. I think he should be doing it. I do. He's played solid tennis this week. He's already beat Jami Munar, Pierre Hughes Herbert, and then got past Felix Auger-Aliassime in straight sets. I'd love to sit here and say I didn't see that one coming, but I just called that, didn't I? I called that. Gasquet had a decent game, put in a decent match against Matteo Arnaldi. That did go the 3 sets. Probably the last thing you need. If you're Richard Gasquet coming into this against Daniel Altmaier, this lad's got bags of energy. Bags of it. Now, the only thing bugging me about this is what I've just mentioned at the start. The whole narrative of, it's like a big fairy tale send-off, and, he's going to be wanting to win, and he'll be riding on the high and all that. I know all that, but none of that should fucking matter. In a professional sport, when it just comes down to who turns up in the day, none of that shit should matter. It just should go down to who's going to play better. I think Daniel Altmaier, not only will he play better than Richard Gasquet today, I just think he's been playing better for a while now, has he not? And especially on the clay, come on. If you're going to take Daniel Altmaier, it's probably going to be on the clay, 1.4, 1.5 as well. You never get him like that over on the hard court. I think it speaks volumes. Richard Gasquet has never really done that much on the clay. Like, ever. You're going back to like 2003, 2004, when he was putting in decent seasons over on it. What are the odds he beats Daniel Altmaier today? What are the odds? Well, for a fact, the odds are 2.8. For Richard Gasquet, it's quite a decent dog. Can't see it. I just can't see it. When was the last time he won back-to-back games on the tour? Can anyone tell me that? Because I've only got his most recent 10 matches here, but I'd be willing to bet it dates back to around last summer. I don't know. You know what? If you take Daniel Altmaier today and he just shits the bed and gets beat by Richard Gasquet, you're going to be so unlucky. I'll feel sick if that happens to me. But I want to take him. I'm pretty certain Daniel Altmaier should get it done. 1.5. I would rather take Daniel Altmaier at 1.5 than Nuno Boge at 1.5. Am I just talking nonsense? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. But I'll be going with the German in that one. I think he gets it done. Who have we got next? Oh, look at this. You got Cerundolo. Carlos Alcaraz. We've seen this one over at Indian Wells. Very close game. I'll just say the same as what I said over at Indian Wells. Cerundolo's plus 4.5 on the points once again. Just take it. Just take it, man. We took it on the hard court against Alcaraz, and it just come in. The half a point would have saved us, but it still stands. It just about come in. Head to head is 2-1. Well, now it's 2-1. It was one apiece. First time he played was on the clay, 2019. Doesn't really mean much, but one thing we know for certain is, look, if Cerundolo was going to keep it that close on the hard court, I imagine it would be even closer. He could even win this. He could even win. He could. Carlos Alcaraz is, he's put in a few shitters this season, has he not? Not many of them. Not many at all, but there's been 1 or 2 matches where you've went, what? Hang on a minute. He's already on a 2-game losing streak. He got beat by Jack Draper and then David Goffin. That's concerning. That is concerning for Carlos Alcaraz. Cerundolo absolutely bullied Fabio Fognini. We said he would. I said he would. dead easy. Bageled him in the first and then 6-3 in the second. He got some really good wins as well, you know. He's been playing really good this season, and he's still playing good now. He's been ticking along at a very good pace. Beat Tommy Paul and Casper Ruud in Miami. You know, nearly beat Dimitrov. We took Dimitrov, well I did anyway, I took Dimitrov in that one. It was a very tight game. I imagine he's good to go. Good to go. Already got his game back over on the clay. Alcaraz is yet to play on the surface yet this season, so I'd say we'd see how it goes. I've got a feel I know how it's going to go. Alcaraz is probably going to beat him. He's just that good, but Cerundolo plus the 4.5. I think he'd be alright with taking that. I really do. I might take it myself. I don't know. We'll see. Who's up next? Nearly there. Well, we're nearly halfway there. But Andrei Rublev, Gael Monfils. I couldn't tell you who's going to win this one, but Rublev. Just looking at it for what it is, at first glance, I'd just say Rublev wins. As you would. But he just can't be trusted. I thought maybe, just maybe, after Doha, after he got that title, this was the beginning of the trust process with Andrei Rublev, but evidently not. He's been beat by Quinton Hallis, Matteo Arnaldi, Zizou Bergs. He got a win against Ben Shelton in the ultimate tennis bullshit, and then got beat by Casper Ruud. Yeah, madness, absolute madness. I thought Gael Monfils put in a decent performance against Fabian Marozsan, and I did mention Marozsan looked fairly good in qualifying too, so fair play to Gael Monfils. Head to head is 2 apiece, you know, all of them coming on the hard court. I think, if I dare say it, you know, Rublev is a lot more trustworthy when it comes to the clay. Well, he has been over the years anyway. I don't know. I just don't know how Gael Monfils is ever. I just never know how he's going to turn up. I know how good he is, but is he really going to beat Rublev? I don't know. If he is, now's most definitely the time to do it. You would not be surprised for Rublev to just turn up and get sent home after his first match at the Monte Carlo Masters. So I'm just going to stay away from it. I couldn't tell you what happens in that. We'll just wait and see. We've got Flavio Cobolli, Artifice. I think it's time. I think Artifice beats him. I do. I think Artifice got this one in the bag. He looks sound against Talon Griekspoor today. 3 sets is what was needed here. He dropped that tiebreaker in the first. Flavio Cobolli looked good as well. Continued to look good against Dusan Lazovic. 6-4, 6-2. You know, he's coming off that title over in Bucharest. Got some decent wins there. I'll say got some decent wins. I mean, Richard Gasquet, he barely got past him. Filip Misalic, Damir Djuma, Sebastian Baez, solid win. And then Dusan Lazovic, which is whatever. Artifice. Is he going to make it back to back Masters quarterfinals? He very well could. I would not put it past him. You get an Artifice around 1.5. I think he beats Flavio Cobolli. I do. Not like due to like fatigue or anything like that. That could very well come into play round about now for Flavio Cobolli, but he seems fresh and fit and good to go. I just think Artifice is better. I just think he's better. He's more proven. Yeah, he's beaten well better players than Flavio Cobolli in the past few weeks. So, yeah, I'll have to go with him. The outright still stands as well. Every one of them is still alive. I was very happy with that. Tsitsipas was a bit shaky today, but even with Artifice, that's the big one. Imagine if I get that. I was very, very happy with the Jack Draper outright at Indian Wells, but if Artifice somehow manages to win this fucking Masters 60-1, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself there. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We'll cross that bridge if and when we come to it. We'll move on. I do think Artifice will get that done. But we'll move on to Roberto Bautista Agut and Casper Ruud. Casper Ruud, big favourite here. 1.2, that's just, 1.25, that's a little parlay juicer if you're brave. If you're brave enough. Straight off the bat, I think Casper Ruud wins today. I do. I do. If you just need a little something to just tip your parlay to where you want it to be, I think Casper Ruud gets this one done. Just as I say that though, I mean, they've played each other 4 times before. Batista Aguirre's won 3 of them. Aye. He won the last meeting as well, indoor hard court over in Switzerland last year, 3 sets. Aye. Not very convincing, to say the least. And he put in a blinder against Binach as well. He made Binach look shit in that first round, which concerns me even more. 6-2, 6-4. Safe to say, you're going to need to bring a hell of a lot more to beat Casper Ruud out on the clay, in my opinion anyway. Now, unfortunately for us, we do actually live in a world where Casper Ruud could just shit the bed today and get beat by Batista Aguirre, but I'd be willing to bet he doesn't. I'd be willing to bet that he doesn't. It may come as a surprise to you, but Batista Aguirre, although, like the majority of his countrymen, he's not actually that suited to the clay. He never really does that much on it. 10-7 last year, 8-8, 5-3. Tends to do the majority of his business over on the hard court. And first time he played was 2018. That was on the clay, and he beat Casper Ruud. But I'll be willing to bet a lot has changed since then. Trajectories in it. One's like this, the other one's like this, or so it may seem. I don't know. Batista Aguirre's definitely got something left in the tank. I'll give him that, but I think he's really going to have to bring it. It'll take a volatile mixture of Batista Aguirre being at the top of his game and Casper Ruud just being fucking, I don't know. Like I said, shat the bed. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. 1.2, it's very steep, man. That's very steep. It's a little bit off-putting. I mean, we can't predict the future. But if you ever do a parlay and the leg that lets you down is 1.2, you feel fucking sick, don't you? I don't know. I do think Casper Ruud beats him. I really do. I might just bite the bullet and stick him on a parlay just to get it to around evens. I'm not too sure. He should get past Batista Aguirre. He really should, man. He should. Fuck it, we'll just move on. We'll move on. I'm not going to overthink it because I'll flip-flop between that one. So we've got Djokovic and Sabilo. Dead quick. Going to be Djokovic. 1.15 on the decimal. Just as you say that, you're probably going, hang on, these played last year on the clay, and Sabilo absolutely wiped the floor with him. That he did. 6-2, 6-3. And I was just going to say, Sabilo was just the kind of guy that Djokovic would struggle with today. Just the kind of guy. Massive spread once again. It's going to be around 5.5. I mean, look, it probably would have been more or less the same last time out. And look what happened. 5-1, that is. Nearly 5-1 as a dog for Sabilo. Just a little bit disrespectful on this surface, I'd say, considering, the recent meeting. Sabilo put in a good one against Stan Wawrinka. He did drop a set in that one, but as always, folks, you would have to assume Djokovic is probably going to win this one. So, until improved otherwise, I think Djokovic wins the majority of the games, but at 1.15, you're not going anywhere near that. Anywhere near it. So we'll crack on. Big foe, Alexei Popyrin. This is making me feel tired just looking at this game. Head to head is 1-0 to Big foe. Getting Popyrin around 1.6, 1.7. These played each other last year in the US Open 3-1 to Francis Tiafoe over there. I think Popyrin's a little bit more trustworthy over on the clay. Got it done against Hugo Humbert, and I think if you can get it done against him, you can definitely get it done against Big foe. He really struggled today against Kekmanovic. Really struggled. As a matter of fact, I think that if that was Popyrin today, other than Kekmanovic, he probably would have got beat. It's just going to be a serve fest. It's just going to be who can serve the best. I'm not expecting many long rallies in this one. You know what to expect. I'll probably lean towards Popper, and I agree with him being a slight favourite in that. And then we've got three more. This is quite good. This is probably, other than the Yuri Lehechka and Musetti game, this is the other one I'm looking forward to watching. We've got Thomas Mahach, Alex de Minaur. Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be, folks? They did play each other in the Ultimate Tennis Showdown not that long ago. That was this year too. Mahach getting that one done 3-2. I don't know how that works over there. That was the last game de Minaur's played actually since Miami. Fuck me. I was just gonna say I think Thomas Mahach probably beats him. I do. Stellar performance to get past Sebastian Baez today, especially to come back the way he did. Baez was having his way with Mahach for quite some time in that game, right up until he weren't. And then when Mahach started doing his thing, like most players on the court, Sebastian Baez couldn't do much about it. Alex de Minaur has been a bit ropey to say the least, especially as of late anyway. He still had a good season nonetheless, 17-6, yet to play a game over on the clay, and you know what, he never really does that well on the clay. He doesn't. I think Thomas Mahach is a lot better on this surface than Alex de Minaur. I suppose the question marks are going to be surrounding the fitness of Thomas Mahach once again, and he's just played a long game. You know, there's a couple of question marks around the fitness coming into it, but he seems to have put that to bed, if you want my opinion. Providing he's fit, fresh and good to go. It's the same every time with Alex de Minaur. I always say he struggles against the power sometimes. It's similar with Casper Ruud. As far as the agility and the stamina, you know, you're not gonna outlast the demon. You're not gonna outpace him. He's that type of guy, but you can most definitely outstrike him and outhit him. Thomas Mahach is just the type of guy to do that. If he can keep them headers in check and just keep blasting that forehand the way he was doing yesterday against Sebastian Baez, I think he's good for at least a set. If he can do him on the hard court, I think he stands just as good, if not a slightly better chance over on the clay. So yeah, I think Mahach is a decent little dog for today. I really do. Only just an underdog. I'd take him for a set. That's an ideal parlay piece. And then we've got Valentin Vacherov and Grigor Dimitrov. It's probably going to be Dimitrov, right? Although Vacherov did look really good in his first game against Struff, but Struff's not. He's just not doing it. He's just not doing much this season, is he? You know, he's probably more one-dimensional than he's ever been. I don't know. I'm not reading into that win too much. It was quite a beatdown as well. 6-2 and 6-1. Get the fuck out of here. What is that? Dimitrov looks sound against Nicholas Yarry. Although, you know, Nicholas Yarry, there was flashes of the old him throughout that game, but as you would expect, 9 times out of 10, Dimitrov's just going to be too much for him. Straight sets, very happy with that. Once again, quite a big favourite for Dimitrov. You're getting 1.25. Well, I'm getting 1.25 on Betfair anyway. Surely he beats this Vacherov. I'm sure he does. He's beaten before. That was last year in the fucking Monte-Carlo Masters on the clay. Oh, what are the fucking odds of that? Nuts. 7-5, 6-2. I think more of the same is on the cards. I really do. Vacherov is decent on the clay. I'll give him that 50 and 24 in 2023, 15 and 9 last year, 6 and 3 this year. I can't help but get to thinking this is going to be 6 and 4 by the time Dimitrov's done with him. Easy. Dead easy. Dimitrov's really good. He remains really good as well. I think he's just going to get it done. No questions about that. And then wrapping us up, we've got Daniel Medvedev, Alexander Muller, getting Daniel Medvedev around 1.4, 1.5. Played each other twice before, Medvedev winning the pair of them. Last time out was in Wimbledon, that was 3-1, and the first time was in 2016. Wow. quite some time ago. Now I knew Medvedev was going to be catching off. I said it, didn't I? It was just going to be one of them games. It was going to be all over the place, but as is usually the case, especially on these slow courts as well, it's very hard to hit through this guy. It is. Alexander Muller, though, I mean, we've got to give it to him, haven't we? He's been very good. He's been deceivingly good this year. He really has. Looked sound against Hugo Carabelli. Looked decent against Hugo Dellien as well. I don't know, man. I mean, looking at this, you just go, oh yeah, Daniel Medvedev. I think he wins this. Not much of a clay court player. Well, he says that. I think he's a little bit better than what he lets on. Especially on the slower clay courts, they tend to suit him a little bit more. Alexander Muller is a clay guy, though, isn't he? I mean, we've seen him put in some solid performances. He's already got a title this year. I think if Medvedev, no fucking about. There can't be any fucking about from Daniel Medvedev today. Zero fuckery. Because this has all the makings of a trap spot. It really does. If he starts falling behind in the counter here, I've got a feeling, and I do fear, that Alexander Muller may just punish him, and it may be fairly difficult for Medvedev to pull it back. So Muller's been playing good, man. I think Muller played a lot better against Hugo Carabelli than what Medvedev did against Kachanov. Maybe that doesn't mean anything, Maybe it stands for something. I'd still be going with Medvedev. It's hard to sleep on him, even when he's in bad form, but he's been playing a lot better the past month or two than what he started, so I'll give him that. He is better than Alexander Muller. It's fucking Medvedev, for God's sake, innit? What are we doing? I don't know. If you want to sound a little better, I'd just take Alexander Muller on the point. Plus 3.5. It's got a very solid chance of coming in, if you ask me. But I'm not picking it with much conviction. I'd be expecting Medvedev to get that one done. Very well. Very well, folks. Appreciate you stopping by, taking the time to watch. As always, like and subscribe. Get yourself involved, yeah. Best bets, all that stuff. Let me know in the comments. Anything that I'm going to be going for will obviously be pinned. Fancy a go today. Fancy another go. See if I can get the full lot, Who am I going to go for? I don't know. I never do at this point, do I? I've got a feeling it might be Daniel Altmaier. It might be Yuri Lehechka some way. Thomas Mahac. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when we get there. But you take it easy, folks. Yeah, you take care of yourselves. You take care of one another. Let's go get that cash today. Enjoy the matches, and I'll see you tomorrow.